Hey, LifeGate family, as we come to our final session of play, we want to be a people who do not just hope for the world to come, but begin to live like it's already breaking in. This last gathering is a good time to look back at the weeks and what they've stirred in you, so come ready to name it and then carry it a little bit forward. Over these past few weeks, we've explored play as creative, as delight, as wonder, as story, and as feasting. Today, Pastor Liz brings it home with play as rehearsing. The prophets pictured the restored city as full of children playing in the streets. And Revelation pictures a world where every tear is wiped away. Play is not an escape from reality. It may be one of the most realistic things we do because it rehearses the world God is making. As you watch, pause and play together one more time. And then take a few honest minutes to name what you want to keep doing. Decide on one playful rhythm you will carry into your everyday life. The church that plays well is the church that hopes well. Thank you for walking through this season with us.
There's this moment in Zechariah when the Israelites are living in the midst of disappointment. The temple construction had slowed to a halt, and the community was living in both spiritual and material poverty. It was evident they'd lost hope. And so the prophet shares this vision for what a renewed kingdom, a new creation would look like. And this is what he says in Zechariah 8, starting in verse 3. The Lord says this, I will return to Zion and live in Jerusalem. Then Jerusalem will be called the faithful city. The mountain of the Lord of armies will be called the holy mountain. And then he goes on and he gives this picture of what the city will be like when the Lord returns. The Lord of armies says this, old men and women will again sit along the streets of Jerusalem, each with a staff in the hand because of advanced age. The streets of the city will be filled with boys and girls playing in them. This is the picture that we're given of a redeemed creation. It's play. And it's even more powerful because of the people listening would be familiar with the images of suffering in Lamentations when the writer in chapter 2 describes children fainting in the streets. And so they acknowledge the reality of suffering that they're living in, but they point to a better reality. And that better reality is play. Play is not an escape from reality. It's one of the most realistic things we do because it points to the reality that is coming. And even more profound is that this reality is a restored Eden. Zechariah reminds us that the picture of a restored humanity is a picture that calls back to the perfection of Eden that will one day be restored. Zechariah's vision of children playing in the restored Jerusalem is a vision of hope. Play is this living proof that the world is being remade according to God's original design. The redeemed creation represents a state of liberated freedom, of relational joy, where activities occur for their own sake rather than for survival. Humanity's first calling was joyfully tending the garden as co-creators. There was no compulsion to our labor. Children at play recover this posture. In Revelation 21, we're given a picture of the new heavens and the new earth as the place where God is with us. And it says that as a result of that, he will wipe away every tear from their eyes. Death will be no more. Grief, crying, and pain will be no more. Eden was the beginning, but Zechariah saw and John saw more than a garden restored. They saw a whole city full of laughter, a world where death is undone. Your play is a rehearsal for that day. This is hope. Play offers us a glimpse of the restored world. It's a foretaste of heaven. It's the announcement of a future kingdom. The reason play isn't wishful thinking is that the new creation has already started. Christ is risen. The future has broken into the present. And so when we play, we aren't pretending. We're participating in a world that has already begun. Play is rehearsal for new creation. Every game of tag, every shared laugh, every dance party, every meal lingered over, these are small foreshadowings of the world to come. Play is redemptive because it embodies hope. The church that plays well is the church that hopes well. Our play testifies to God's vision for a restored humanity. When we play, we go forward to Eden. The Israelites were told to wait until the temple was finished to have hope. They were handed a vision of children playing to carry them through the rubble. You do not play because everything is finally okay. You play because you believe that someday it will be. So go play. Bake the thing slowly, throw the ball, linger at the table, dance in the kitchen. And every time you do, you are rehearsing the world that is to come. All right, guys. So we are talking about play as kind of this rehearsal for new creation. And so can you think of a memory or a moment where maybe you, from your childhood or recently, where you thought play kind of represented this glimpse of how the future should be?
Hmm. Yeah, I think for me, I think play and peace go together. When you just feel at rest and peace, and you're just having fun doing just the mundane things, because you're recognizing how good God is and like the daily things. So I had a lot of fun growing up, but just recently, uh, as a dad and a husband and a homeowner, you have all these things that you have to get done and always stressed about. And so last Friday, just had to get to work on the yard and was doing yard work. And then my siblings they're all in the area. They all have kids around the same age. And so they were like, "What are you guys doing?" I was like, "I'm just working on the yard. You guys want to come over?" And then it just turned into this like amazing, beautiful day in memory where, yeah, I was working,
Right.
like pulling weeds and things like that and mowing. But then also my nieces and my nephews and my kids and my siblings and my wife were all together just in the backyard on a great day. And then everybody's just pitching in like, "Hey, we have watermelon. Let's slice that up. Hey, I can order some food. And, oh, hey, I have this. My house is down the street and I have this. I'll bring it over and we can plug the sprinklers in and just have the kids go crazy and stuff." So just that peace and that rest and and play, it just was so fun. I was working a lot that day, but it didn't feel like work at all,
Right.
which was really special.
And I think like the communal element of that too, where you're with other people, that creates something that feels more playful,
Yeah.
feels more restful too.
Yeah, I think it increases it.
Yeah.
And you're with the people you love and with people that love you. And
Right.
it doesn't really matter what you're doing at that point.
Right.
You have each other.
Right. Yeah.
That image reminds me of this moment. We were in the pandemic, which is horrible, but everyone started walking more,
Mhm.
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
as a family, we actually got to walk to the place that we were worshiping for Sunday.
Yeah.
And for our Sunday gathering, and there was just something beautifully playful. Like my kids were skipping because they got to be outside, and we're all cooped up together, and we're just walking to worship,
It's great.
and
Great.
that was a little glimpse of heaven.
Yeah, it was
So like it was also an evening service.
Yeah.
So the sun setting, and
Yeah.
it was just one of those like hey evenings, Colorado, and there was such a richness to that.
Because that's a shift where play becomes not just an escape.
Yeah.
It becomes this act of hope, really, I think, in a lot of ways of what you're talking about, where you are actually acting out a reality that we will act out in heaven, where we are on our way to worship the Lord, worshiping the Lord.
Yeah.
And I think that's just a beautiful picture of it. I think sometimes for us, we have a tendency, and especially as adults, to wait to play until everything's okay. And I think Zechariah was talking to a people who were disillusioned, who were disenchanted, were in the worst of times, hopeless time.
Yeah.
But he gives them this vision of hope in the middle of that. And so how do you think that plays out? What are moments in your life where you're tempted not to play because you're discouraged, or maybe you're just tired?
Yeah.
I know that when I'm so centered on myself, on what's going on, busy, like there's not this thought to play. It almost feels irresponsible.
Yeah.
And and I absolutely admit that because of it, I missed out on so many moments, especially when my kids were growing up, when they were young, where that moment of play and playfulness and letting go and just being silly. I mean, you're good at that. Yeah, you booster, 100%. And that where you are just centered in the here and now, not on what's next, what's coming up, what do I have to go done, and everything.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I am going to sound youth pastory here, but I want to push back on that, though, because I really don't think it's like, I think we shouldn't look down upon this element of almost chaos. And
Yeah.
because I think play is an active like resistance against what the world wants us to act like. Like what you're saying is,
Yeah.
oh, I have to work, and then I gotta like go escape and on this camping trip so I can finally play.
Right.
Versus like I'm gonna play every day because I'm gonna resist against that pull from the world of like you gotta get this done, you gotta accomplish your tasks, you gotta meet your goals, you gotta be successful in this way. And I think fundamentally, what helps with that is you can't take yourself too seriously.
Yeah.
Like, and I'm battling that as a pastor. I
Right.
think we all do. Like this idea of I am overseeing a ministry. I'm part of a church, and this is like heavy work, and we oversee the formation of our congregation, and and we are charged from the Lord to steward this house, and that can easily become way heavy. Yeah. And you gotta make sure you are on your stuff. But at the end of the day, God's gonna do what God's gonna do. And I think the younger generations take that idea of not taking yourself too seriously as an excuse to be irresponsible or to kind of just avoid tasks and delay duties. And I think with the right perspective, it can really free you to be no, man, I can play in pain, and I can play in perseverance. I can enjoy my day with the Lord and all of that, because at the end of the day, Jesus, and we could break this down for a while theologically, but Jesus could come back tomorrow.
Right.
Yeah. So how are you going to love radically today?
Right.
Your kids, your family, your friends, how are you going to serve radically today? And then every time I serve, like you said, take the focus off of myself and put it on others, I feel like I'm playing. I feel I'm free.
Yeah, I think the picture of play as this sort of resistance is actually really beautiful, because I feel that. Like I feel like I'm a fairly playful person, but I still feel like the resistance in my own spirit to play. And so it's almost like a defiance to what the world would say, to actually engage in something. I think because it is this picture of hope, because when we play, we are bringing heaven to earth. Like that's the reality, is it has a far deeper picture and a far deeper meaning to it when we play, because we are living as if eternity was now.
100%.
We are living as if we have the freedom to be more concerned with what God is doing and what the perfection that God is creating for the world, than to be concerned about the mess of the world.
Yeah.
And I think it really is an act of defiance against the values of the world.
Totally. Yeah. Yeah. My 6-year-old, to my best of my knowledge, my 6-year-old has never experienced hopelessness.
Right.
And she's always playing.
And she's always.
And she went through a hard year. She's gone through hard stuff. She's smart enough to know that like what loss and grief is, and she's had sad moments and stuff. She's never been hopeless because she's always playing and she's always imagining. And at some point, society and culture says, hey,
right,
take yourself more seriously. You got to dream about being an accountant or an engineer so you make money. And you need to like stop playing and stop imagining, because this is the way of the world. And it's like, no, man, that's not. When Paul writes to Timothy about being an example in his youth, he's not saying like you need to have more of an agenda and you need to teach better.
Be more serious
and more grown up. He's like, no, dude, you're young. Be that example.
Right.
And so I think we can learn from our kids playing all the time for sure.
Yeah. Thank you guys so much for joining us on this Collectives in Homes journey. We are grateful to get to spend it together. And our encouragement is that you would feel invited into a life of play, not just a moment, not just one activity, but to have a posture that brings the kingdom to earth here and now. And so enjoy your conversations, but don't forget to play a little.